Let's talk about genres. In any type of entertainment media, there will come a time where several pieces of work are similar enough to be seen as part of a genre. In movies, for example, if a film is set in outer space with aliens and lots of technology, it will probably be classed as a sci-fi film. Whereas, if it's about two real-life people meeting and falling in love but eventually drifting apart only for one of them to completely change to become a better person, it'll be classed as garbage. The same thing has happened in every medium, including video games. However, those of you who have spent any amount of time playing several games of the same genre may know that just because two games are part of the same genre, doesn't mean that they play alike on any deeper level. For example, Persona 5 and Skyrim both class as role-playing games, but anyone can tell just from a glance that these games are completely different despite being in the same genre. Thus, the creation of subgenres was necessary in order to help people differentiate if they will actually like a game or if they're playing Skyrim. Now, to most people outside of the FGC, the idea of a game where you beat up other people can't have too many variations, thus people will generally see it as platform fighters and everything else. But I'm here to put an end to this misconception, and talk about a lot of games, because that's what I like to do, and none of you can stop me! Hopefully this video will help introduce people to new games that are similar to ones they like, and also make people think not everything is a Street Fighter. So with that, let's talk about Street Fighter.
This is Ryu. From Streets.
Traditional 2D fighting games are the most common subgenre that people think about when they hear the word fighting game. These games are categorized by having two players with one character each, who have around 4 or 5 special moves, sometimes more or less depending on the character, shorter combos that generally rely on links instead of cancelling, rigid jump arcs, and simple meters. If you don't know what links are, let me explain. In some games, combos are done by having you input an attack within a certain frame window so that your next attack will combo. This is different from cancelling, which we'll talk about later. Links generally range from around 5 frames to 1 frame, depending on the game and the character you're using, and they can be really hard. 1 frame links are notorious for being difficult to execute precisely, so newer games generally have an easier free frame link. Is this a good thing? That's up for debate, but it makes the games easier, apparently. Some games from this subgenre are the Street Fighter series, the Mortal Kombat series, mainly 1 through 3 and 9 to 11, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Fantasy Strike, Punch Planet, fucking, Footsies? I guess? Hey, Footsies counts, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, go play Footsies.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow!
Okay, but what if you look at the air and go, ew, no, that's stinky? Maybe you're looking for something more grounded focus, something similar to an actual fight. Maybe you just want to actually dodge an attack. Then you should look at 3D fighting games. A 3D fighting game is defined by having 3 planes of movement instead of the normal 2. What does this mean? It means you can
slide to the left, slide to the right, crisscross.
These games are generally focused more on the grounded aspect of the fight, and allow for players to be able to dodge attacks in a unique way compared to other games. Also, no, it's not a spot dodge, you can act out of a sidestep, you're not just locked into place until the animation ends. 3D games are generally less about long strings and more about positioning and countering. This is displayed differently in these games though, as some have sumo ring-like systems where if you back up too much, you'll fall into the void and lose the round, whereas others have walls, not unlike traditional 2D games, that can lead to big damage combos, and in Tekken's case, one-hit KOs. That I can't do because I'm doo-doo at that game. For 3D games, you got Tekken, Virtua Fighter, the Horny One, Soul Calibur.
I am mad scientist. It's so cool.
Welcome to degeneracy. Welcome to depravity. Welcome to virginity. Welcome to Anime Fighters, the flavor of fighting game that shares a similar flavor to why my mum doesn't think I'm a functioning adult. Anime games share the same aesthetic and possibly even brand of your favorite anime, and with the same amount of complexity as its lore. Generally, a lot of these games have an overlap with arena fighters, but I don't like those games, so I'm not going to talk about them, and you can't make me play this shit! Anime games are either extremely easy to play and require little knowledge to get good at, or extremely complex and require an entire university course to be able to understand what you're doing. Generally, the rule of thumb is, the more familiar you are with the franchise, the easier the game will be to understand. Naruto? Oh yeah, I've heard of him. Oh hey, his game isn't too hard. Guilty Gear? Yeah, I know a bit about it. There's a lot here, but I could get the hang of it. What the fuck is Arcana Hearts? What are they? Oh no. Oh god! you play a Kana Hearts, you go to hell before you die. There's also generally something that the 2D version of these games share in common, that being air dashes. Instead of other games we've talked about before, if your character is in the air, you'll be able to do a dash to change your jump arc, which leads to more neutral options and things such as instant overheads and 50-50 left-right mix-ups, which adds even more complexity to the game. These games also have extremely long combos, however, newer anime games generally add options such as auto or easy combos for newer players to use so they don't have to learn stuff like this. And even though these combos are generally longer than traditional 2D games, generally once you've got the timing down, you'll be able to do it consistently over and over again. But the larger combos can be a thing that initially put you off the games, and I don't blame you. That shit's scary! Speaking of combos, these games generally rely more on cancelling than links. This is where if an attack connects, you can cancel the rest of the animation and go into another attack or a special move. Generally, only normal attacks can be cancelled, but in some games you can do special to special cancels, which is honestly really sick. Example of this genre, Under Night In-Birth EX Claire, Melty Blood, any shonen anime game, and just anything that Arc System Works makes.
Yes! Hold up! Yes!
Maybe all this one-on-one shit is boring to you, and you look at the cast of characters and go, man, I want to play at least 2 or 3 of these guys. I wish I could do that without having to choose a main. And if that's you, then let me show you the world of versus fighting games, also known as team games. These games are defined by having you play more than just one character, and forming a team with point, middle, and anchor characters, or just point and anchor if it's a 2v2 game. This all seems familiar, then it might be because you've been staring at footage of a versus game whenever you watch anything on my channel. These games have a reputation of being fucking insane. However, this is generally on a scale of how crazy they can be, but even the games on the lower end of the scale still have more crazy shit than most of your other subgenres. Except maybe anime. But with this, games generally lower the execution barrier for combos and moves, at least in more recent versus games, and have characters share a lot of similar motions so players don't have to memorize a bunch of unique ones. These characters also generally have simple movesets, meaning players don't have to spend much time focusing on learning a deep, complex move list for a character. But that doesn't mean those characters don't exist in these games, and if you're looking for just dumping a bunch of time into an anchor character and basically playing a 1v3 game, then that's possible too. Just don't be surprised if you get your ass kicked a lot because you don't have any assists. Or you could just play Schoolgirls and do it anyway by having one buff ass tank versus 3 kids with pea shooters. Games of this subgenre are Dragon Ball FighterZ, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, motherfucking Marvel, baby! You thought I wasn't gonna talk about fucking Marvel? I mainly play Dragon Ball FighterZ, so I'm used to a lot of versus game bullshit, so trust me when I say that Marvel is the craziest shit I've ever seen. This series has touch of death combos everywhere, ridiculous setups, and one of the fucking coolest communities in the FGC. If you want the purest embodiment of hype, then go watch some MVC2 and MVC3 footage. These games are insane, and I wish I learned Marvel 3 when I was younger because that game is sick, and I don't have the time to do it anymore. Well, I mean, maybe I do.
Happy feet, wombo combo.
Platform fighters are easily the most unique subgenre of fighting games that there are out there. Instead of focusing on block strings and counter-attacking, these games have a higher emphasis on movement and positioning. The aim of these games is not to bring your opponent's HP to 0, but instead, knock them off the stage in order to take away their lives, or stocks, as they're referred to. Damaging opponents increases their percent, which leads to the next hit sending them further, thus increases the chance of them falling to their death. I don't know as much about these games compared to other subgenres, but I know that advanced movement and baiting is generally the main skills that you have to have in these games, instead of remembering combos and knowing damage values. Some of these games can be really hard to compete in as well, just because of the techniques you have to incorporate into your game to play them. But if you like the idea of getting hard reads and running around your opponent, then go for it. You might like these games. Examples of these games are Rivals of Aether, Slap City, Brawlhalla, and there's one that a lot of people talk about. There's like this fox dude and a pink ball, and the fox guy just keeps shooting the pink ball until it goes fire and decides it's hard enough.
and fucking just inhales the fox guy and falls off the stage before spitting him out at the last moment.
I don't know what it is though, my mind's kind of fuzzy.
Ain't nothing like a phone gimme.
Go play Lethal League. This game's really cool and it's unlike any other fighting game on this list. I want to get into this game, so I might play it over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/GeckoSquirrel_live. So if you want to see me warp space-time by hitting a baseball, go over there and give me a follow. Correction, I will be playing this on my Twitch, right now after this video comes live. If you're watching it as soon as it comes out, come and say hi. It'd be great to have you. But yeah, this game is sick, so go play Lethal League. That just about covers the main subgenres of fighting games, from what I know. I hope this helps some people realize this genre is much deeper than just everything is like a Street Fighter, and maybe even help some people find more genres they might like. Thank you all for watching, and now, if you excuse me, I have some unfinished business to take care of. See you next time.